Good morning all, Lewis Miguel Alexa from BRIKbc projects. Hope you're all doing well. That was just a song, one of our favourite Australian bands, Powderfinger, song called Sunsets. Not sure whether you have heard of them or not. They actually are de-banded a few years ago, but did take their show globally when they were around. They played their last concert, I think it was around 6 years ago. Actually, I was fortunate enough to be invited by the band manager, to be at their last concert here in Brisbane at the River Stage. So one of the bands that's close to us, as one of our favourite Aussie rock bands. Look, in the terms of today, just a bit of a general chit chat while we wait for people to join us. See Matt's in the audience, Kumin, Jimmy, thank you for joining us. We'll just wait a few minutes. Just a general discussion before we get into the formalities without being too formal. Probably over the last week. It's great to have my voice back. I had to cancel last week's shows due to no voice, so have recovered from the flu. Whenever I get the flu, I seem to lose my voice every time, so luckily it's not too often. So, got my voice back. Not fully 100%, but it's around 80%. 80% is good enough, so should be able to hold up today. But look, in terms of the past week, there's been a lot of activities. Obviously, at the moment we're in the deep, trying to tick through all the actions for the BRIK Dolphin launch, which I'll talk about afterwards. So we're just ticking, making sure everything's in order as far as the new property is concerned. Look, it's a lot of activities in terms within the Ravencoin community, which is the blockchain where we tokenizing the BRIK Dolphin. Some great activities. There's some awards that are happening, so which I'll mention later on. But look, it's some great fun activities that obviously it's on a serious note. It also helps people to think in terms of the great opportunities that blockchain is presenting to everybody around the world, which is fantastic. Thank you, Philly, for joining us. Mirage, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate you guys coming and joining us live. As we know that we do record the show every week. We do put it up on Spotify and YouTube as well. So it's always up there and obviously here. So we try to put it across a few different locations so people can that doesn't have choices as to when they do listen. That didn't have a chance to join live, but really appreciate the people that actually come and join live. And it is a BRIK Q&A, and obviously we open it up for questions afterwards and make it interactive, and obviously have the ability for people to actually ask me anything about what we're doing. As I always mention, we're transparent, and we always encourage questions, and as I said, we're an open book here. So. Look, it's so it's good to have the voice back. Some of the activities we joined in around the Ravencoin community. There's some things that have been happening also in the tokenized real estate space in terms of some of the global events that have been happening around the world. So again, some great activities when it comes to tokenizing real estate. The wave is growing. People are starting to realise in terms of the new frontier of growing their property portfolio by adding tokenized real estate. So it's great to hear my colleagues around the world getting out there. I know C3 Media, John Blockchain, thank you for joining us. I know you were at an event last week, and a blockchain event in US, and obviously you saw what was happening there in terms of when we start talking about tokenized assets and given the wave that's happening. So again, it's for us, it's always great to see that the ecosystem around tokenized real estate continues to grow in terms of people involved. Look, in terms of in the past week, we've sort of, it was a bit restricted last week what the things I could do, but again, some of the activities are going in the right place in terms of some of our future properties. So we've already sort of identified some more properties that's on our properties roadmap. But I guess we first got to sell the ones we got on our plate on the two locations, the koala and the dolphin property about to launch. As I said, for us, having access to stock that meets the criteria is not an issue. It's just a matter, obviously, making sure we're selling the ones we got and moving on to the next one. So, but yeah, some great things that are happening in terms of what properties we've identified. Again, they always have to be luxury properties, residential properties, and so again, we've identified another one on the Gold Coast that we actually which is going to be the Shark property, which I'll sort of touch on later on. But yeah, look, some good things, some exciting things happening. And obviously as we progress through some of those things, we'll obviously keep everybody updated. This is obviously what this show is all about, our weekly show, the BRIK Q&A, to keep people updated in terms of what we're doing. Also as a reminder in terms of, obviously we're tokenizing real estate, but the shows that we put on BRIK Q&A is also about educating people about real estate fundamentals in general. So we always try to have some part where we continue to educate the people that are coming on a journey with us as part of the BRIK family, be able to be educated and us sharing knowledge in terms of the trends around real estate, and obviously in terms of the fundamentals we use. That obviously has worked for us, over the last 30 years, in terms of how our approach to real estate, because real estate in general, the fundamentals are very similar. Whether it's commercial, industrial, residential, and again, it's also sharing that knowledge that hopefully people will take away and be able to use in their own locations where they're based, and be able to having a portfolio of property that's made up of tokenized real estate as well as traditional real estate, depending on their circumstances. But yeah, look, it's I think it's almost 10 past, so I like to keep this under an hour. It's making sure people can continue their day, their night, their morning, depending where you're at. And but yeah, look, we'll start the formalities around today. Just by a bit of an overview, sort of a bit of an intro in terms of me and BRIK, and then we'll sort of cover some of the topics in terms of sort of generic in terms of today, in terms of BRIK Koala and the BRIK Dolphin property, go into some details as to the launch of the Dolphin property, some details around it, open up a Q&A to people be able to ask questions, and then we're gonna draw the prize. The Billy the Koala he's been very busy this week. He's actually has done the draw for the 10 dolphins, the BRIK Dolphin tokens. So he's done the draw. So I'll put that up there on up as a pinned tweet to show who actually won. So it's been pre-recorded. So you'll be able to. I'll pin it up there afterwards. So then you can check it out. So it was done. The people that were chosen, obviously they got that we put up on Twitter, people that answered the questions rightly and done the actions around the competition. They went on the wheel, and then Billy the Koala is drawn on the wheel, spun the wheel, and so we'll put the recording of that up on there to announce the winner of it. And then we'll just go into a wrap up. Yeah, so in terms of an intro, myself, Luis Miguel Alexo. I'm the Managing Director and Co-Founder of BRIKbc Projects. In terms of my background, I'm actually a CPA accountant here in Australia, so have been for around 28 years, so and been involved in real estate property as part of our family portfolio for more than what I've been an accountant. So in terms of we've been around 30 years since we've been, my co-founder, Mrs. BRIK, Melinda, and I have been doing real estate for around 30 years. So for us, in terms of real estate, comes very second nature, and given that in terms of my professional career as a CPA accounting, mentoring and guiding businesses, developers and builders and trades that have been in the industry, guiding their businesses along the way over the past 28 years. So again, we got a fairly good grasp of the deep fundamentals of what drives property, real estate, building, construction. That all ties in together. So. But in terms of BRIKbc, we tokenise real estate. We're focusing on luxury properties based in Brisbane, which is the 2032 Olympic City, Gold Coast, and also the Sunshine Coast. So just that Brisbane being in the middle, in the central part, Gold Coast south, and Sunshine Coast north of Brisbane. So, and they're all in a 200-kilometre radius on the coast. Those three locations. Gold Coast and Sunshine Coast will also get their events from the Olympics in 2032. Some of the venues have been identified to be also based in those two other locations, in addition to the Brisbane, as that was the main hub. So we see a lot of growth when it comes to in terms of what's happening in real estate. Always has been a steady growth. So property here in Brisbane, it doubles up every 10 years. So we see that a lot more obviously will be on turbocharge, sort of 2-3 years out from the Olympics. But again, the basic fundamentals are there. So we worked on this before. We got the Olympics. That was announced late last year. So we're already doing it. The Olympics was just a cherry on top in terms of what the impact will have on these tokenised properties. So, that's our three locations. And what I like to describe is that in terms of how we're tokenising real estate here in Australia, is that because we're providing access to property to anyone from anywhere in the world. It's actually a catchphrase I've actually been saying, which is it dawned upon me in terms of that phrase, and the phrase is basically it's the everyday person being the landlord to the wealthy, because traditionally it's always been the wealthy being landlords to the everyday person, but we're actually flipping in terms of what we're doing. We're actually flipping that around, because anybody can access real estate, and effectively they actually are going to be the landlords in terms of our journey. Landlords to the wealthy being that these properties are leased out to wealthy people, because these locations that we focus in being luxury properties, these are people that are given their circumstances, they'll actually lease a property rather than buy in the locations they want to live in. So that's the catchphrase we're using. It's the everyday person being landlord to the wealthy now, which is sort of summarises in terms of our model in terms of the properties we're tokenising here in Australia. So that's a bit about BRIKbc. In terms of the properties, at the moment we've got the two properties. We've got the BRIK property here in Brisbane. So that's still, people can still buy tokens and that. So we need to sell out those tokens so we can then sell on the property. So the BRIK property is in Brisbane. It's around 3 kilometres from the Brisbane CBD on the river, overlooking the river, should I say. And that's the cost of $2.6 million property, $80 per token. So when I talk about dollars, I always talk about in US dollars. So each token is $80. So that people can buy that. They'll go on our website, get a link to our property tokens platform, and subscribe on our platform and be able to buy the BRIK property tokens. So people can do that. So we basically need to sell that out, so then we can move on to the next Brisbane one. The next Brisbane one we've also identified in the same area, around Hamilton, which is quite a prestigious estate. So it's we've identified another property there. So it just but we need to obviously sell the BRIK first. So the next Brisbane one is going to call the BRIK. So that's the one that we've locked in to move to as the next one, but that's the way we need to sort of keep focus on the koala in Brisbane to make sure we sell that out first before we move on to the BRIK. The Gold Coast one, which we launched on the 24th of October of this month, we launched 24th of October Australian time. There'll be 23rd of October US and Europe time. So it's all on the website. I've actually pinned it up here on the pinned tweet, a bit of details about the BRIK property. So the BRIK properties, it's actually very similar in terms of costings as the koala. So it's a total cost of $2.6 million for the dolphin, $80 per token, and people can buy just one or can buy many. There's no limitations on the numbers. So the BRIK is actually, again, it's a luxury property. It's actually, this one will be finished. It's actually they've started demolition of the site. So they basically got Q1 is what they're focusing on, but in reality Q2 next year when it will be finished. So this property here is at Mermaid Beach, Miami Beach, in terms of the exact location on the Gold Coast. Again, there's it's in an area that's, again, it's a very high wealth area, the Mermaid Beach area. It's had around 36% increase in property values over the last 12 months. it has been unusual. It's not the norm. I mean, it does go up in value, but we've had a lot of things happening here in southeast Queensland, where the Gold Coast and Brisbane property is located. Is that especially Mermaid Beach, there's been quite a lot of hype around the area. There's quite a lot of luxury homes that have been built and sold. So that's 36% is actually quite a huge amount, but it's sort of been averaged around the 20s, 22% over the last sort of 3 years. It's sort of become a bit of a trend. People coming from other states, they're sort of in the movies, entertainment industry, to want to live at Mermaid Beach. So there's been a bit of hyperactivity of late in terms of where the Dolphin property is at. So it's a 4-bedroom home, 3-bathroom. It's a 3-story home with a rooftop area. So that's all in motion. And they'll have that completed around realistic Q2, because the supply chain's still causing issues here in Australia in the building construction space. So again, when people say Q1, I always say Q2. You always go another quarter after that, only because you've got to be realistic in terms of what's happening with the supply chain issues. I mean, it's happening across all industries, and although it's eased a bit here in our state of Queensland, the supply chain for building materials, but still a lot of uncertainty in terms of when you do get materials that you've ordered to actually get it on site. But in terms of the BRIK Dolphin property, as I said, it's $2.6 million property, and we see, given obviously with the Olympics and given the migration coming from down south from other states, and also from our Australian expats coming back to Australia, which has been evidenced in terms over the last 12 months what's been happening from that space, which has caused a lot of the values to increase here. We see this property to so if we sort of have an outlook in 10 years time, which is around the Olympics, we see this property be around 4 times its value. So we see it being around $10.4 million in value, and again, that's we like to always take a conservative approach, and that's where things will be roughly around. So these forecastings that I sort of when I done my forecastings last year in terms of what property is going to be doing over the next 10 years, the Olympics wasn't factored, because we didn't know about the Olympics until sort of October last year. But again, given all those variables that I mentioned, there's a lot of activity in terms of to really speak to those forecastings. But yeah, look, as I said, we like to take a conservative approach, and we like to think that property be around that. If we look back in the area in terms of over the last 40, 50 years, it takes a very approach that gives us some great base fundamentals around it. So as I said, properties typically average they go double its value every 10 years. Some of the things that have been happening in the area where the Dolphin is last 12 months to 36%, which is is one of those unusual events. But all to say that if you look at the previous year, it was also another high increase in values in the area. So again, it's in terms of lifestyle, given post-COVID, there's quite a lot of people that actually want to live on the beach, and I guess the Dolphin property is very close to the beach, for tenants to actually enjoy that lifestyle in terms of where they want to be and live. So in terms of the property size, it's the actual property itself. It's a 389 square meter property all up, and I said it's got a pool area. So some of the details are actually on the pin tweet, so you can see some of the footage from the renders that were being provided by the seller. So that the property, the builder and developer, in terms of this property, we actually have an arrangement with them where we actually have first choice at their properties. So we Houseworks, they build and develop their own properties, they take them to market, but we're quite fortunate to see their properties roadmap in terms of what they got coming up over the next 2-3 years, and be able to select which ones we actually want to tokenize. So we built that great relationship with them, and obviously from that gives us the ability to have access to all things in terms of on-site be able to get their renders and all the information in relation to the property as the information that's been pinned up on tweet. That's where we got the information from. But yeah, so we're pretty excited about the Dolphin, the launch that's coming up. As I said, that comes up on the 24th of October Australian time, and yeah, so basically once that goes live, then our objective is sell that ASAP, be able to sell on the property, and then we identified also another houseworks property in the pipeline, which will on the Gold Coast will be around the same area, Mermaid Beach, Miami Beach, which is going to be the Shark BRIK Shark. So just sort of give you those foresights, what's happening in once we get through those properties, and what's coming up beyond those. So I mean our vision is to tokenise 11 properties in the first year, and then second year 20 properties, and then sticking to that sort of same theme each year, 20 properties each year. So we like to think by year 2 we like to sort of expand, add Sunshine Coast to the mix. So Brisbane, Gold Coast, and then adding Sunshine Coast, which takes in some of the areas. Some of you who might have been to Australia. Takes in sort of Noosa, Lullaby area, which is sort of the high end in terms when it comes to luxury properties. So that's sort of the areas we've identified. Obviously, myself being around in you know, where we spend some of our family holidays, and see what the property is like up in those locations. Again, it's all second nature to us in terms of what's good and what's not good, and focusing on the ones that's good, that ticks all the boxes, and be able to tokenise in those areas. But yeah, that's sort of a bit of an overview on the Dolphin property. The Dolphin property, we've got 2 art pieces. So we always buy artwork for our properties. So we like to buy 12 pieces of art, and that artwork comes from NFT artists that mint on the Ravencoin blockchain. So with in marketplaces like Ravenist, NFT RVN, Just NFTs. There's also a few other places where we buy our artwork from Ravencoin marketplaces, NFT marketplaces. So the BRIK Koala, which is all the artworks on our website, you can see. Excuse me. You can see on our website the artwork that's been bought for the koala. So the koala properties, that's all filled, the 12 pieces there from fantastic artwork from artists. So that artwork will be put in the property, so as well as having ownership in the token series, having ownership in those NFTs, those 12 pieces. The artwork will be displayed in the actual property for the tenant to enjoy. So the tenant actually, they can have the enjoyment of those pieces of artwork with the QR code next to those art pieces, and people that visit be able to enjoy, after their visit, be able to enjoy those pieces, and in terms of seeing it and so forth, which is also a great exposure for the artist in terms of knowing where those pieces have come from, be able to see in terms of what the artist is actually doing in terms of other pieces. So great exposure for the artists that we actually buy those properties from, those artworks from. The BRIK Dolphin's already got 2 pieces of artwork, so it's got the dolphin image that was done by Indie Bows, and also it's got a picture of an artwork by an artist, and it's a picture of a house in Scotland, which is a piece that was bought from an artist that came into the Ravencoin blockchain. And he minted his first piece on the Ravencoin blockchain, and that sort of talked to his heritage, his Scottish heritage, and so we enjoyed the story behind that, and so that picture, obviously, in terms of relevance, in terms of real estate. So it's also got 2 pieces for the Dolphin property. Will be announced shortly a piece that from Kevin Lynch, because every property that we tokenise, it always has at least one Kevin Lynch piece of artwork. So we have a great relationship with Kevin Lynch. Is a gentleman, and we we're quite fortunate and honoured to have an arrangement with him where basically that every property tokenized, we want to have a Kevin Lynch piece attached to each property. So stay tuned. Excuse me. Still the after effects from last week with losing the voice. So I do apologise. Nothing but a water doesn't fix. Do apologise for that. So look out for the piece that I've got to speak to Kevin Lynch to see what he's got up his sleeve in terms of artwork, so we can announce that piece as well for the Dolphin Property Series. But yeah, so I think I've spoken enough. I'll open up the channels, open up the mic for people to ask any questions. So if there's some questions you like, please, I'll give you the mic so then you can come up and ask those questions. Before we go into the next stage in terms of the drawing of the prize. So I'm not too sure anybody's got any questions. Kun's coming in. Just connecting there. How are you, Kun? You good?
Yeah. Can you hear me, BRIK?
Yep, okay, loud and clear. How are you?
Good, man. Oh, I'm so sorry you weren't feeling well, like a while back.
Say that again?
I'm sorry you didn't feel well a while back.
Sorry, I missed that, mate. So say that again. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, man. I don't know if it's a signal or whatever, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry that you didn't feel well, a few days back.
Thanks,
I know being sick isn't one of the best feelings in the world.
No, it's been doing the rounds. It finally caught up with me, and I know there's a few people in the community as well. I think LSJ and India at their household, they've been struggling. I know Morgan is also struggling with COVID, so shout out to them, wishing their well wishes to get well. So there's a few people being knocked around between COVID and flus and what have you, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
And it happens with season changes.
It does.
Even with myself, sinus-wise, as soon as spring starts and spring comes around and all the little flowers come out, it's a mess.
It is.
But yeah, BRIK, I just quickly wanted to obviously just follow up with one thing. Obviously, with regards to the property tokenization platform of things, is once the tokens and stuff are purchased and you've got your share of tokens in the BRIKbc project, and obviously it's something that you're going to hold for quite some time. You're not really going to let it go. As soon as the first property gets sold, value would be obviously being increased with the Olympics coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Value is going to increase and all this stuff. What happens, if we get to a point where we actually forget our username and passwords and all that stuff for the platform? How would we be able to? Will we be able to just get it from you, or actually use the platform just to reset the passwords?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that we wanted to make sure it was easy for people to, especially obviously still very early stage. It was like mainstream still got to come in, and one of the things we wanted to make sure it was easy for people just to come in, although it's blockchain, but it's just like signing up to any website, and that's why we wanted to make that experience. But same thing in terms of people signing any Web2 or website they sign up for. We wanted to make that easy. So if they do lose their password, it's okay. We'll give you another password because we've got all your details in terms of your email and so forth. And I guess that's sort of the positive things about doing KYC and knowing your customer, which we have to as part of the compliance, is that obviously we gather that information from in terms of emails and so forth, only because we want to make sure that people have the same experience as before in traditional Web2 and websites, that they don't have to worry about losing their keys. And I know there's obviously the benefits of owning your own keys, and but at the same time, because these properties are held indefinitely, they're not going to be sold. These properties are held indefinitely, and we're on a journey indefinitely with everybody, because obviously these properties need to be managed. We're going to manage these properties, and we have a stake in each property that we tokenize. So we're here for the very, very, very long time. So we want to make sure people stay within the community, our BRIK family community, to be engaged, to learn about real estate, to us sharing what's happening in real estate, which that knowledge also takes them into the traditional area of wherever location they are. But the important thing is making sure that people don't have to worry about if they lose their password. That's okay. We'll just give you another password. We'll just reset it. And again, just that peace of mind. Because we've also got to factor in too, because at the end of the day, obviously this is a long-term thing, and people are going to be passing this as part of their estates, their legacy to their children, their family, their friends, and whoever they have on their will. They want to make that transition easy as well. So again, in terms of how we're doing it, it provides that easier transition as well. So we want to make this sure it's nice and easy. People don't have to worry about losing their keys, which is a little bit different from, say, if you own a piece of artwork where just one piece of artwork, an NFT, and you have that in your own wallet in terms of your decentralized wallet, and you don't, at the end of the day, it's just one piece. But this is very much different. This is a real estate property that's got 40,000 tokens. And at the end of the day, you want to stay close to the property, as opposed to taking your property token, going away, and basically then 2-3 years time you forget about exactly what was that, where was that in relation to, you know what I mean? So this way allows people also to stay close to each property, and by obviously in terms of the model that we've set up, making sure that people stay and be able to buy in various property token series that we tokenize. Hope so. I know that's sort of a long way to answer your question, but I hope that sort of captures the answer to it.
Yeah, no, definitely does. I mean, obviously that is obviously one of the biggest concerns, looking at going forward. But on the other hand, I also just wanted to, just run through, obviously once, let's say for example, the BRIK Koala series is tokenized, is fully sold out, the house is up and running, everything like that, would DG Shares or, obviously BRIKbc property tokenization platform, be able to keep the investors up to date per annum with regards to the value of the houses, keeping us up to date with, where our shares, where the actual coins, tokens are trading, or the property value is trading, just to give a, plus minus understanding of what the investors would actually be able to resell, because as now, I do know everybody's just keeping their tokens. I mean, the same as from my end. I'm just keeping and holding my tokens, because I know as soon as the property sells on, after, let's say, for example, a few months or a year from now, when the project goes massive, I want to be able to say, I own shares in a property that you won't be able to get shares from again. But I would also be able to pull reports and say, okay, cool, this is what I bought it at, and this is what the currently selling price would be.
Yeah, that's a great question, Kevin. So the journey in terms of the property is basically, once we settle on the property, once obviously all the tokens are sold, we've got the funds to settle on the property, then the journey begins. So each year, because these properties are owned by a special purpose vehicle, so the BRIK Koala has got its own company, that private company that owns the property, the title of the property, or will own the property title once obviously we settle on the property. So that particular company has obviously the property, has the artworks, as well as the crypto portfolio in there. And basically each year we do a set of financial statements for it. And in that set of financial statements, there'll be a valuation of the property. So each year we get the property valued by an independent valuer. And as part of the financial statements, there'll be an independent valuation done on the property. And the accounts will be audited by an external party. So we'll engage an accountant, an auditor accountant. They'll actually audit the financial statements. Those financial statements then be published so the token holders can see. And then what we also do on the website, so each property on the website, it's got its own valuation box, and on there it's got in terms of the property, the art pieces that it owns, and the crypto portfolio. So obviously the crypto portfolio, we keep that updated every monthly to see what the crypto portfolio looks like. The artwork, we just say basically we don't put a value on the artwork, and obviously we update the value of that property in that valuation box on the website each year with the. Obviously, once those financial statements are done and the valuation is done on the property, we update that value of the property on the website. So token holders can see what the total value of that property token series is, and divide that by the number of tokens, which is 40,000 tokens, gives you per token value. In terms of be able to sell, yes, there'll be a secondary market. So once once we sell on the property, straight up in terms of within our platform, there'll be a secondary market there. And so people can actually put if they want to sell, they can actually say, well, I want to sell the koala, this koala, just one token in the koala token series. I want to sell that $120. And then basically once you put that up there for sale, then anybody can come in and actually buy it, who's obviously registered on the platform. What we're planning to do also, and they'll come next year, so the sister company to DigiShares, they're setting up a secondary market called Real Estate Exchange. So at the moment we're actually in talks with Mark, who's the CEO of it, to then be able to use that as a secondary market. So our objective is try and provide a bit more liquidity in addition to our platform as a secondary market. So it'll be Real Estate Exchange will have obviously their own community within it in terms of different tokenized real estates there from obviously my colleagues and so forth around the world. And so the objective is basically provide putting our tokens up on there as well, and obviously people can buy and sell in that secondary market of Real Estate Exchange. So for us, always our pathway is to always look in terms of exchanges that we can add to the liquidity of the property token series that we put up. And we see sort of the Real Estate Exchange next year as sort of that first step of a secondary market or an external secondary market to add more liquidity to. If people want to sell, and sometimes in life circumstances change and people want to access their funds, they've got the ability to do it on the secondary market. And obviously that's the whole point of in terms of providing liquidity. Obviously traditional real estate's lumpy. It's in liquid. It's hard to, if you want to sell, you've got to sell the whole property. But I guess with tokenized real estate provides that solution that people that want to access funds, whatever situation it is, they've got the ability to take their tokens, one or many or the whole lot, to sell on a secondary market. So I guess that's the beauty about tokenized real estate. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. And then I just quickly wanted to follow up, just obviously the third question is obviously BRIKbc with the way the project is set out, what was the thought with regards to obviously tokenizing the property and selling it off as shareholding and then purchasing the property outright instead of buying the property and then tokenizing the property from there on out? What was how would that work?
Well, I mean, there's different models out there. I mean, some of my colleagues go out and buy the property, or go and build property, and then they tokenize it, and then they sell it. Again, we're quite fortunate because of the relationships we've got with people, is that we're able to identify properties, and given obviously say for example, Houseworks with the Dolphin property, we've got a relationship with them. I've known them for a long time, and I guess the beauty is we've got an arrangement with them. I don't need to have a contract with them. I've just identified the BRIK Dolphin property, and basically we've agreed around the price, and basically we've no money's come out of my pocket to buy the property. So basically just my relationship I have with them to have that arrangement to say, look, we identify that one, we'd like to buy that one there, and obviously obviously raising the funds to be able to then go and buy it. So I guess that's fortunate from our perspective, and this is obviously the points of difference that we bring to the platform in terms of what we're doing, and given my networks over the last 30 years, that I have got the ability that I don't need to go and out of my own money, need to go and buy the property. I can actually have this relationship with this person, with the builder developer, identify the property, and then go to Mark in terms of people to buy the tokens and raise the funds, and then sell on the property. So again, for us, that's a massive point of difference. It's leveraging off my network that I've had for a long time. But yeah, there's not a right or wrong. I mean, that's just our model. That's just our model, how we do it, and again, it's one of our point of differences. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if explained like that, it makes perfect sense, and I think it's obviously an advantage to you, from a tokenizing perspective, getting everything sorted, getting everything, running from that perspective, and knowing that the property is secured from your end. So, I think that is phenomenal, and that answers my question perfectly. So thanks for that.
No, pleasure. And again, it's also the fact that I made the point when we started this journey was to avoid banks altogether, and that means that I didn't want to get banks involved at all, because obviously if these properties are bought up front by me, I would have to involve the banks, and then tokenize it. So basically, as most of us, I've got very negative thoughts towards banks, as I'm sure everyone around here would agree. And that's one of the reasons that I didn't want to involve banks. I don't want to be accountable to any bank. We've seen what banks have done, and hence what blockchain solution gives us the ability to now not involve any debt in when it comes to real estate properties. So these properties are bought, and the token holders are owned by the token holders, and there's no accountability to any banks, regardless of what stage the economy is at. It doesn't matter. There's no loan repayment, so you just avoid that negativity that traditional real estate has. And I've seen over the years, I've seen some of my colleagues who've been developers here who've been basically liquidated by the banks because when the market's changed and they basically had to come up with a difference because the values have changed. And obviously the LVRs, lending ratios haven't been to what the bank wants, and they basically been liquidated. So I've seen some of those scenarios over the past years where, due to circumstances, people have been liquidated in terms of their property portfolio. And again, this is the beauty about blockchain: is a global opportunity for people coming together and basically avoiding banks altogether. Actually, I want to also shout out to Troy. Thank you for joining, Troy. I think I've said, Paul. Thank you for joining, Paul. I just seen you and come in. But yeah, so that was one of the reasons we wanted to basically not get banks involved, because it's we know the challenges, and we want to make sure that we're providing access to anybody from around the world and any parts of the world to be able to access real estate for the first time, because some people will never have a chance to access traditional real estate, and this is one way they can actually now have access to real estate via the tokenized real estate. Don't get me wrong. There's some of my colleagues. Some of that are using debt in the mix in terms of tokenizing real estate. But again, it's horses for courses. This is our model, and again, this is I think we're quite unique in the sense that there's no accountability to any debt holders, whether it's banks, secondary financiers, whatever the case may be. So there is no debt, full stop. But if there's any other questions from anybody, and also we'll move on to the next stage of the price draw. What we'll do, you have to give me a couple of minutes. I'm just going to load up. The pre-recorded video of Billy the Koala. So Billy the Koala, he done the draw. He spun the wheel. Just bear with me for a sec while I put this up. There it is. And I think Billy the Koala had too much fun. He got a bit excited when he was doing the draw. So hopefully you all will enjoy Billy the Koala. Billy the Koala's excitement. So I'm just putting it up now, and I'll pin it up. I'll pin it up for you to have a look at, and they'll announce who the winner is. Just bear with me here. But again, it's the 10 dolphins. That's a value of $800 US. So because obviously each dolphin token is value is $80. So I'm just going to put that up now, and I'm going to pin it here so then you can see. You can see the. But yeah, so hopefully the winner. I hope that sort of makes a difference to the win in terms of starting their journey in tokenized real estate and with the BRIK Dolphin. Let's have a look. So you just have to bear with me for a sec here while pinning it.
Yeah, it would be absolutely amazing if they actually put a fingers crossed little emoji at the bottom there.
Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm just gonna pin it now. It's coming up now. Okay, here we go. Okay, I've just pinned it. The pin there? Yep, there's a pin. Okay, I've just pinned it. I'll let you play the video, and while you do, I'll play it in the background here, and obviously me playing one, obviously you won't be able to see it, but if you can play it from your end.
Oh, Billy the Koala here. Hope it's all well. Yes, today I'm very excited. Yes, today we draw the prize for the 10 BRIK Dolphin tokens. Yes, of the newly minted Gold Coast property launching at the end of this month. Yes. Okay, I've got everybody who's on the wheel. Everybody's on the wheel. All the names are on the wheel. Yes, we're gonna spin the wheel. Here we go. Is a fantastic NFT artist on the Ravencoin blockchain. We have bought some of his artwork ourselves, yes. Well, congratulations, Eduardo. I hope you enjoy and cherish those 10 BRIK Dolphin property tokens. Congratulations, bye!
So yeah, as Billy the Koala picked out the winner is Eduardo. He's a fantastic NFT artist. Eduardo is actually based in Indonesia, so he'd no doubt it's actually a bit early for him. I think it's the middle of the night for him in Indonesia, given the time zones. And so congratulations, Eduardo, if you listen to the recording. We're so excited that you're the winner, and hopefully that helps your journey in terms of where you are in life, and hope that makes a difference to you. And again, congratulations. And for the people that are actually on the wheel as well, please DM me. You can see the people who are on the wheel. You can see the picture on the wheel. DM me, because there'll also be an NFT that I'd like to share with you as well, which is the some that will have a bit of information around what the Dolphin's all about. And but yeah, look, DM me with your Mango Farm wallet address, and I'll send you an NFT as well for making the list onto the wheel. So again, thank you for everybody. It was a lot of fun. We always, like I said, we always like to have a bit of fun, although property can be very serious, and so it should be in terms of people's lives and people's portfolio, in terms of wealth and so forth. But at the same time, we always like to have a bit of fun as well. That's I think it's probably our Aussie nature, that we like to sort of have a bit of fun along the journey, and making sure life's not too serious. But yeah, again, thank you for taking the time to fill in the criteria and answering all those questions. You got joy to see some people in terms of you guys answering those questions, and again, really got joy from seeing that, and again, really appreciate it. Yeah, so we sort of head into our wrap up. I think someone just joined us. Steve, thank you for joining us. I hope you're well. Just make sure I missed anybody. Mirage, I think I did mention you. Hello, Mirage. But yeah, look, in terms of the wrap up, so I hope like everybody sort of got something away from today in terms of what we're doing, tokenising real estate, especially around the BRIK Dolphin property. As I said, we launched that on 24th, and again, we'll keep everybody continue people updated in terms of what's happening and so forth. But yeah, look, we'll go into the wrap up. The Humble Miner, thank you for joining us as well. Thank you. We're just about to finish, but thank you for coming in. I hope you're well. Yeah, look, in terms of the wrap up, just sort of some mentions, the things that are coming up. Again, we've got our show that I do with Jake, that he co-hosts with me. What is real estate tokenization? That's on tomorrow. So that's Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US Eastern Standard Time. So that's on tomorrow. So join us for that. I'll put up a link shortly in the next couple of hours. Also a reminder in terms of the Ravencoin community. C3 Media, I've got they host at Braveland a Raven Community Day every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's US Eastern Standard Time at 9 p.m. So it's every Friday. come on to the Brave Land, come in and share in terms of what's happening around your world and contribute some of the activities around what's happening in the Ravencoin community. The Ravencoin community is quite diverse in terms of NFTs, real estate, in terms of movies, music, so quite a diverse projects that are happening on the Ravencoin blockchain. So as I mentioned earlier, Dolphin is actually our first property on the Ravencoin blockchain after switching. So we're going to be tokenizing on the Ravencoin blockchain with all properties we tokenize in future. So Dolphin is the first one on there. But yeah, come and join at Braveland every Friday at 9 p.m. US Eastern Standard Time. There's some things that are happening around the Ravencoin community too in terms of awards. There's the global awards happening on the 29th of October at 3 p.m. US Eastern Standard Time. So there's some posts. We've actually shared the banner yesterday on our feeds, on our Twitter feeds. So check out the awards. There's nominations at the moment been put up. So if you go into C3 Media, which we'll put up a link afterwards. So check out in terms of some of the nominations. Vote, put your votes in. That's projects within the Ravencoin community, people involved in the Ravencoin community, but as well as people that are actually advocates of what's happening with different Ravencoin projects. So also people, there'll be some awards for people that are also outside who are big advocates of Ravencoin projects. So again, this is for all to come and engage. And if you go to C3 Media, through C3 Media Twitter feeds, you'll see some of the nominations on there. So put your votes in. And it'd be great activity leading up to the awards. Some banter, some fun banter. There'll be some great votes in terms of where people see things. And but yeah, look, get engaged, and we'll put up the on this feed. We'll put it up some of the links so you can get involved and have your say for the awards. So great work by C3 Media and John. Blockchain John, who's driving it, and great for them. Great work that they're doing in terms of creating activities, so that in terms of educating people what's happening on Ravencoin blockchain and just the various projects. And so great work, John and C3 Media. So really appreciate the work these guys do. I know these guys are big advocates of us as well, and I really appreciate the support. So. But yeah, I think that's pretty much a wrap. Really appreciate everybody for joining us. Paul, the Humble Miner, Philly, Guman, Mirage, Matt, Sporting Shark, Steve, Jimmy, C3 Media, Blockchain John. Thank you so much for joining us live today. Really appreciate your support. The voice is held up but yeah, look, again, really appreciate you taking time out of your day and evening and to join us live here. Really appreciate it. So for now, that's all. Take care. Have a great evening, morning, afternoon, depending what part of the world you're at. And same time, same place next week. Take care and stay safe. Bye for now.